to the Ybor CDCAC meeting. I'm Rich Simmons, Chair. Welcome. Today's agenda is kind of light. I know everyone's pretty busy with storm prep and other things, so we'll try to keep this pretty brief. We'll start with some introductions going around the room.
Yeah, A, representing Storrington Corporation, member.
Carolyn Jones Rhodes, Historic Ybor and Gary Neighborhood Associations.
Michael Murphy, with Silver Media Gallery, member Clark.
Carissa Aaron, Vanessa Ybor, member at large. Marcia Thompson, member at large.
David Bailey, representing Historic Ybor Neighborhood Civic Association.
Steve Arbus, representing Ybor City Museums.
Chris Wojtovich, member at large.
Tom DeGeorge, representing Ybor Merchants Association.
Jason Stewart, Regional Director of Block by Block.
Mark Randini, interim manager for the Ybor Master Program.
Andrew White, resident, Community Connectivity LLC.
Lee Bell, Ybor Chamber.
Sergeant Vincent Lego, Campbell Police, Subrats.
Officer Jonathan Neal, Ybor Liaison. Officer Perez, Homeland Liaison. Richard McIntyre, member at large.
Me? Oh, I'm sorry. Gabby Soriano Kettler.
Debbie, yeah, T, and of course,
Brenda, sorry. For staff.
well, welcome everyone. Any public comment? Anyone like to say anything under public comment today?
One person on the
We have one person on the
Oh.
line.
Who's online?
Larissa.
Oh, Larissa. Okay.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon.
Hi, you turn that up. Just a moment, Larissa. Volume.
Pretty much out.
Oh, hang on.
Try now.
Larissa, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
now we can.
Great.
Thanks for joining.
Thank
Yeah, we
you.
have the meeting minutes from the August 27th meeting in your packet. Has everyone had a chance to review? Any comments, discussion, or
Move to
get
approve.
approval? Thanks. There a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor of said approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Community policing update, TBD.
I'm filling in for Captain College. The stats that he gave me for August of 2024 went down to quite a bit of the category. For robberies and August. Sunday to Thursday. Batteries are up by 1. Some of the fights are actually getting more. And assault is 2 deaths or 5, so they're down 68%. Drugs were down 25%. DUIs are up by 1. Assault with a firearm for August. So they have 1. Yeah, 25 arrests for August compared to 42 last year. And traffic stops are up. That's right for our proactive units for the Ybor overtime. So then on the outskirts. Then for September. We're down 30% for the batteries. No vehicle theft. Drugs have gone up. DUIs went down. Arrests have gone down. And traffic stops are maintaining about 200. Then the grid 129. For the east on 7th Avenue, everything is even lower. The traffic stops for that grid are up. There's only 3 arrests, 1 drug fall. August and September. I'm looking at the same thing. I know our squad, we just wrapped up for the summer months. Operating in Ybor and just kind of dealt with some of the quality of life offenses that we have seen out there with open air smoking of marijuana. Loud music calls, the cars coming down. Zero tolerance on any of the crimes that we see, the brass, the batteries, some of the drugs. And we have pretty good stats with that. We issued 38 civil cannabis citations. We got over 250 grams of marijuana. Us alone on 7th Avenue, we did 101 traffic stops, issued 53 traffic citations, 84 in PD roadway. Still having an issue with a lot of the Uber drivers coming in, dropping off passengers, and they're holding up passengers. And even though they're not supposed to be picking up from the geopens, somehow they're still going to get away or get through. And they're picking up, holding up traffic, and we're still letting them sort of in traffic. And we give it 20 loud music citations for the vehicles, 10 parking citations. You've had 15 felony arrests and 33 misdemeanors. And we seized 2.9 grams of fentanyl, 1 gram of spice, and we've got 3 firearms off the streets from individuals who were down on 7th Avenue who were not qualified to be carrying a concealed firearm. So those good stats. We'll probably do something for the upcoming winter month also, and just keep maintenance of being down there so it doesn't get out of hand again. And then with the upcoming Halloween, we're checking to see what events the clubs are going to have, so the department can make proper manpower adjustments, so we don't have any issues on that last weekend. Now we bring a new Ybor liaison, Officer Daryl Messina. Let him introduce himself.
Well, like I said, I'm Officer Daryl, only been a Ybor liaison for a little over a month, so I still have a lot to learn, but feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. I can provide my duty self-member for you guys, if you have any questions or if you have anything that you believe that I should know moving forward as Ybor liaison, please don't hesitate to reach out and let me know.
No, what's your last name?
Neil?
What shift are you on, Daryl? Officer McGill?
Evenings.
Evening shift?
Are you guys familiar with the tango schedule, that weird shift? So Sunday to Wednesday, 3 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. And then the Ybor nights are Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's 4:30 p.m. to 4 a.m. Besides.
Yeah, we're beside.
The shift versus the other side.
Diana, with it, yes.
What was another one from the last name or something?
Right now, brother?
Yes.
Yeah, so she cycles.
She's on vacation. What? She's on vacation, that's right. Oh, I see.
And one last thing I know, at the last meeting, the gentleman, he was complaining about us using the sirens to clear out the streets, at least on our cycle. We tried doing the push without the sirens, and it actually worked. So I know on our cycle, we're maintain, no siren. So it should work well.
I think that was a great exchange here to communicate that information and try something new for clearing out the street. So it's a good sign that, we're all working together on that. With new contact information, can you update like the sheet with all the officers' names and contact phone numbers? And is that something you can distribute at the next meeting?
Yeah.
It seems like, every 6 months or so you guys change and we kind of lose track of who is, but we'd like to have that information so we can get it to our constituents. Thank you. Great. Okay, Officer Perez, you want to give an update on?
So as of today, all the shelters are full. But the stats, they're all related to, and again, this just comes from myself and Officer House. They're all related to the quality of life ordinance that we have in the city and in the Ybor area. So we have given 10 warnings, trespassed 6 people. We have cleared out 3 homeless camps, arrested 5 people, and we have bought 11 Greyhound bus tickets for people to go out of state with their family. So.
Are you still seeing a lot of people influx into the area? Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, winter's coming, so. Very nice. Yeah.
Sure.
Chris, is there any, have you seen any guidance or update on the, Florida statute that's about to go into effect?
So we haven't gotten anything yet, any updates from our legal department. But as far as I know, it's pretty much what we've been enforcing in the city. So in the city, nothing should change. It's just that they can made it statewide. So it's the same thing as we've been enforcing for.
Any other questions? Thank you, Officer Perez. Code enforcement isn't here today because they're on alert for,
Yeah, they're not here, but I sent everyone over their stats, so you should have received them in your email. They're not printed in your packet, but they are in your email. And Mike Peterson's available if there's any questions about anything.
Jason?
Yes, so for some of the most notable stats that I wanted to cover, for August is bills and stickers removed. We saw a big increase in that. Our team handled it very well, so you see the district, but we did see an increase in the biohazard removal was significantly higher. I don't think that number will roll over to September based on a few individuals that were in the district that were responsible for it. I did add the chart at the bottom so you can kind of see the influx and flow of that. Safety stat wise, the most notable, in contrast, a lot of things we're talking about is the homeless count. That's performed by one ambassador per shift. So if not multiple ambassadors in the district area. For the month of August, the number was significantly higher than normal. But even still with those numbers, contrasting to our sit, sleep, lie, compliance and non-compliant, which I put a chart at the bottom as well. We still have really good results as far as people still listening to the ordinances and rules of Ybor and moving off private property without any issues and stuff like that. So it was a good contrast as far as even still with the increased numbers. Also, I wanted to really quickly just introduce interim operations manager, Martin, who's doing block by block here.
Yeah, so my entire history is in management, specifically inside security. I've been with Block by Block for over 5.5 years. I started in downtown Orlando. I was there for 4 years, and I've been in Ybor for about 1.5 years now. So while Jason was here in the morning, I was here at the night working with the safety team. So I know a lot of the officers and a lot of you all have seen me, I'm sure. It looks a lot different without the yellow. But I'm very glad that Jason was able to kind of move up, and I'm very happy to step in for this time frame and kind of keep that progress moving forward.
You're welcome.
Well, welcome.
Thank you, Nick.
Big shoes to fill.
I've worked with Jason the whole time.
Question.
Yes.
Where is that?
So that was actually an encampment. So I don't have the exact address for it.
Okay.
Basically, an encampment removal.
It's a hell of a.
That all the trash.
That was the same,
Yeah.
same location. That was.
Okay, I'm up. Okay, so last week was the 2 weeks ago was the CRA board. They wanted a funding, an update on the arts and Ybor. Basically summarize whatever we talked about at the last CAC, that there's new spots for like selfie spots, and we're open to all sorts of art installs and being able to do whatever we can within the community to help the art scene. I talked a little bit about the art scene being very vibrant here with the collective and things going on, and the art house coming online pretty soon, even though that's outside our CRA district. We talked a little bit about updating the CRP and the SRPs to prioritize the arts, which leads the way to funding. Also expressed some concern that we can't do any special events grants anymore because it's, as we know, it's all bricks and mortar right now. So I think that message was received. Maybe it's another outlet that we can do that, because it definitely has some of the most best impact on an Ybor city. Also talked about the parking garage window displays, graffiti abatement, crosswalks, intersections, physical art, and beautification and maintenance of all these things. So I think we'll try to continue to work together as a CAC with the CRA board to do things that we can help the art scene here in Ybor, since that's our backyard and our neighborhood. So I thought that was very well received. YCDC update, it's all pretty much status quo as what I told you guys on from last month. Pavers are continuing to progress. Joyce is on vacation. I think she's in Spain right now, so you'll probably see more backlog of pavers right now. It's still a full 60 to 90 days to 120 days to get from the time an order is placed to the time the paver is fulfilled. But that's moving ahead, and we want to schedule another strategic planning session and workshop, probably in this location with some of the, like Vince Pardo and Lynn and other people that have been involved with Ybor over many years to help redefine YCDC's role in the future. So I apologize, that's on me to get going and schedule and just haven't been able to put that together yet, but that's coming, so don't run away yet. Okay, and I'll turn that over to Brenda.
Okay. Well, thank you. Okay, so in your packet, like every month, we have a projects team report. And you'll see that, this gives you a status of where we're at with our capital improvement projects. Obviously, the 7th Avenue Brickany is a priority. We've already started working on the design for the next block, 17th to 18th, including the intersection. So we don't have the cost back on that. Every time we do a block, we have to do a survey. We have to design it. There's every block's a little bit different. So that's in play. So I don't have the date of when we can keep moving forward with that. But the good news is October 1 is coming around, and that means new money, new fiscal year. So we'll have some additional money to put towards that. But right now, the design team has been kind of ordered just start designing all the blocks. So they're moving forward with that. The other thing is, again, new money coming on board. Rich mentioned the CRP update. We can start working on that after October 1. We've already got our projects team kind of identifying consultants that would be a good fit for us for that project. So that will be definitely a priority. And then the garage boxes, I don't have cost on that yet. There was some, improvements we wanted to get done for art installations and some other kind of, use of those. So that will be coming forward too. So I can have a report from the projects team next month. Any questions about projects? Signage, yes. Signage is moving forward. We have a consultant. It was a small company that started the project. They're going to finish what they are obligated to do, and then we're not renewing with them because it's been kind of a struggle. So we're going to go back out for the next group of signs, but you will get about 25 signs in the district that will be completed. And they're really in the Ybor South area. Those were the ones in the corner. You probably have already noticed some sign installations. So, the complication with signs is that it's a complicated sign. Originally it was kind of designed with frames and all this stuff. And so we're talking with the barrio, or we'll be talking with the barrio, at least the mobility department, about maybe trying to streamline that a little bit. Maybe it could be a one-sheeter. It's been something discussed, but we haven't really, we have to go back through an approval process with them because what happens is the signs just don't last over time. And so we can get the same look and feel, but it may not have as much with the frame and the dimension where it bows. And so anyway, that's where it's at right now. It will be rebid out. I'll give you all status on that when that happens. That's why it's yellow, called potential risk, because we're not renewing with the contractor. So
we have a certain amount of money committed to that contractor, but if we don't spend that money, it still renews for additional signage in the area.
Well, correct. So they will only get paid for what they do.
Right.
And so we're finishing up what they've already started because they fabricated them. Now they're having to install them. So it'll actually be probably past October 1 where they're doing the installs, but the actual contract with them is not getting renewed. So we're starting over. So
starting over takes how long?
Well, I mean, it's
kind of
this is the moving part is the fact it's the design. We have to go back to the barrio and look at some options of how we can fabricate these, because just so y'all know, the contractor that we had was the only one that bid on it, and it was a small company. And I think they kind of got in a little over their head a little bit. They didn't realize the complexities of it. So, there's signs all throughout the country now. There's signs that they're doing in other neighborhoods. There's ways to do this that we could, maybe create it as the same look and feel, but maybe it would be a one-sheeter, like we all know what I'm talking about right now. So the signs are dimensional. There's a sign and then there's a frame. And it used to even be more complicated than that, but it got down to two pieces. Now we're talking about maybe doing it more as a one piece so it would last longer, but you have the same look and feel. Does that make sense?
It does, or abandon this altogether, just back city signs.
Well, if you go back to city signs, you'll get the old green ones or brown ones. We used to have brown ones for the historic district. But you know, that's really
Brown ones for this
You like-
district, perfect.
the brown ones, the old brown ones. I wonder if there's any still
I mean,
around.
That's $600,000.
Well, I think it could be much less than that if we do a different treatment. But you know, signs are throughout all the neighborhoods. You go down to South Tampa, you go to other neighbors, they all have signs that could be economical. So that's the goal. The goal is to try to get it, the look and feel that you want for the historic district, but not the cost that's associated with it and more durability.
And some of these signs are larger ones off of Adamo and like the entry signs and stuff, so they're a little pricier than just
Right,
your
yes,
street
the same
signs,
thing.
you know.
But I know we're replacing all of this because they've all kind of decomposed.
But if you were to replace them all with brown signs, that's a whole nother cost. So you might as well keep the look and feel. Let's just try to get it to a more economical
For
solution.
that is that on the city's dime rather than out of our CRA funds?
This will be the last time we do them. I know, because we did them once back in 1999. Technically, you know, you do a program and then the city will maintain it. That's a great question you bring it up because we've talked mobility. Whatever we do, they have to maintain. So if we could get it to where it's something that they could print, maybe even in-house, then that's all, you know.
But right now they can't maintain it because it's so specialized.
It's complicated.
So.
Pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right, because you remember 10 years from now, we're not going to be here putting signs in. They're going to have to replace signs out and to the same standard. So anyway, thanks for those questions though. Any other questions on projects?
I had one more is, so, on the arts project, like for the, window art and the like, I thought like when you last left it and when you were gonna speak to the, council of riches, that was to ask for approval for the funding. But so we're like moving forward with planning when we don't even have approval for funding. Am I misunderstanding? We didn't have a line item, I thought, in the
Right.
budget for arts. And
Right.
so,
So that'll get updated when we update the SRP and the CRP, so to make it a higher priority for funding. Funding follows the plan. Some of that I think could go back to the city because they are the parking garage, but there's opportunities in the display, parking garage display windows to upgrade that. And as Corey talked about, they need some repairs as well. So, you know, with water intrusion, glass and things like that. So yeah, there's no money for that right now. That's budgeted. That'll follow along once it's planned. The money kind of follows.
thank you.
Okay. Well, if there's no other
I have
questions,
one last question, I'm sorry. What about Centennial Park? What's going on with that?
we have $300,000
I know
to
we were
put.
gonna put it up for bid again. The first guy fell through, much like what we were talking
Yeah.
about a moment ago.
So Centennial Park is still a project. We have $300,000 I'll put towards that project at this point in time. Again, we're waiting on some new money to come in October 1. So the next step in that is to craft another RFP or design bid build for it, okay, and put it back out. And again, we need money to do that project. And with the bricking project, you know, really, it's a matter of priorities. You know, all Ybor 1, all we have is 3.9 million. I know you don't think that's a lot of money, but it really goes fast. That's what we have every year. So, you know, so anyway, it's definitely there. It's just in planning again. Okay, so we'll have the projects team come forward next meeting where we see if we can get some more information about moving forward with that. But with $300,000, we could do the design, but we couldn't really do the build of it yet.
Well, that was kind of like what the last go round was, right? It was just for the design and then ended up being a bigger.
Part of the problem is there was no cap. So we had designers coming in doing $10 million parks or 30. The guy from New York there was no real parameter. It was called reimagine. So like, you know, pick whatever. So I think you need to kind of talk about what your upset budget, you know, what your construction budget is so that they could stay within that parameter.
What is it? Construction budget again?
Well, that's good. We need to talk about that. We haven't defined it yet. We haven't, it's all in planning now. You know, it has to do with the scope. What do we want to do? Do we want to demolish the pavilions? Want to keep the pavilion? You know, there's parameters that we'll have to put to some kind of.
Just the money. What's the bottom line? What's the dollar amount? Then what can we get for that dollar amount?
That's
Could
true.
be demolishing or not. What's the dollar amount that we plan to propose for this?
And how did
So
this
we need-
project come up to redo the centennial?
Steve was chair at the time, weren't you, when the project came out?
No, I kind
Was
of,
it before?
I think Chris.
Was it Chris?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't recall. I'm digging my data banks here. Let me think. I don't remember it coming up as like,
There was a priority or there was a motion at some point.
there was because the Parks Department was doing a survey of Tampa parks and we wanted, did we want to include Centennial's future state in that? I'm trying to remember. There was some trigger with
Did a master
the
plan of
wider
parks.
master plan
Yeah.
of parks, I believe, is what triggered it. Probably.
And also,
I remember one of our first meetings when I was chair was them being on the phone and talking to us, the people from New York, about the plan that they had drawn up and come up with.
yeah. I think the other issue was that there were complaints about the lack of activation in the park, things that like when it's a special event, things are happening, but when it's not a special event, you know, there's some issues in the park. People were, you know, the vagrancy and I know the chickens, I hate to say it, but they do pluck through all the stuff and things gets all, you know, the mulch gets all over the place. So anyway, it was just you know, it's the only park we have, and can it have a higher and better use? Can we use it more? Can there be more activation, especially during the week? Or not? So what's that? It's not our only park. It's our largest park. I will say that. It's our central park, if you want to call it that, because it's a whole block. But you're right. We have East Ybor. So, but it's where all the special events were taking place, and it was, you know, the activation of that. So this conversation can be rehad though. If the committee thinks, you know, maybe it's okay. We don't have to move forward. We don't want to do anything right now with it. That's fine.
Who approaches, so who in like your group or whoever would be the person or group that would be looking for grant opportunities and the like to secure outside funding or matching funding for anything that we might want to do?
Well, it'd be a question of the projects team. So that they could look into that. Mhm. So that's Melissa Martinez, and she leads up the project team. I think you've met Melissa or you've met her staff, some of her staff people, but it could be us as well. You know, if there's some kind of sustainability grants out there or something, we could partner up with, you know, with Reamer and his group, maybe doing something solar, energy grants. I don't know. But that's a great question to try to stretch our money. Question. Okay. Anything else on grants? I mean, projects?
Quick question. I know the request for the bus stop. There was some discussion about were those the bus stops that we really felt were the most important. Is that already a done deal or what's that?
Not yet. Not yet. Nothing's been done. They came to y'all. What's happening with the Hart bus stops? We are actually doing an internal process with them because they're asking for a funding request, even though they were approved. They're going to come back through and give a proposal to staff on exactly what they want to do. That'll be step one. Step two will be they have to come back to y'all and tell y'all specifically what they're thinking about, which ones they're going to prioritize, or whatever, and get your feedback, and then it will go to CRA board. So they're going back through sort of a special events process, which is great because y'all get to see it again. Okay. All right, well, moving right along, grants, those are also in play for Ybor. As y'all know, we have commercial grants. It's the blue form here. The blue, it's small, and I learned that in order to make it bigger, I have to move it onto a big sheet, like a tabloid sheet. So I just apologize if that's too small. It's really not my report, but we're working with the team to try to make it a little more legible. But you have some grants that were already in play that are still getting closed out, and then you have new grants that are coming on board. What's happened, because during the process of moving into the new grant programs, the maximums for all the grants were low because we had not a lot of money. So like Ybor 2 for facade or exterior grant was 25,000, and in Ybor 1, it was like, or no, it was 12 and 25, something like that.
Yep.
So now we have new money, and at the last board, at the last CRA board meeting, it was mentioned that the Ybor caps are going to go back up, okay, because we have more money. So it was mentioned, so as part of this new budget approval, the Ybor grants for Ybor 2 are going to go to 50,000 max, and then for Ybor 1, I believe 75,000. So they're really in line with a lot of the other districts. And the reason they were low before is because you're trying to get more grants out there. You're trying to share more of the money with more people. But, you know, right now with having a little more additional money coming in October 1, they were, because it's expensive to do anything in Ybor City, especially develop, they needed a little more match to go along with that. So there's a couple of grants that aren't on here that will be on here, because I know there's some property owners that were holding out, waiting to see if those maximums would change. So hopefully this report will grow and we'll have more activity there.
So the first two that are listed on here, the Ybor Marti LLC and the NA, those are both facade grants. That's when it shows up in this chart up here,
Which one's the,
like for CRA 1.
yes. it
So
comes-
the only ones that show up in this part are the ones that actually have the awarded.
Right. These were
So
all.
the others are
awarded.
pending, and then they'll show up.
Right, and we see where it says lead, that means they've approached the grants team, but they're waiting. They're either they haven't submitted an application for some other reason, or they're waiting maybe because they want to wait for Max's to.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, so that's what's happening there. Okay, any other questions about grants? If not, the last thing I have for you guys is housing, okay? And I got some preliminary information about all the applications that they've been distributing. They've had several events where they've been distributing applications. People would come in, tell them their address. They do like a really mini consultation, and then they would anyway, they would go back and then have to formally apply. So there's been about 9 applications that have been given out in Ybor, which was this only for the first 3 weeks when the grant program was let out. They're expecting more. I don't have a current number as of today, but that was up until I think last week. So there are people in Ybor City, there are homeowners in Ybor City that are seeking grant assistance, and mainly in the Ybor 2 area. Okay, because obviously that's where it's at. The other thing, as we talked about, real estate is actively looking for property, okay, for affordable housing. So we would meet that goal of trying to, develop something here in Ybor City that would be for affordable housing. Rich mentioned at CRA board, he wanted to mention about the artist housing, because we talked about maybe we could do something that would effectuate or help the art community. That would be affordable, but it's also, it's kind of serving or meeting that goal of trying to incubate the arts in Ybor City, because we know that there is a need for that.
Yeah, one idea that we talked about was residencies for artists here in the district. So whether it's CRA 1 or 2, could be a visiting artist coming in and be able to combine really supporting the arts and providing affordable housing, maybe for set periods of time that they can come here and do a residency, maybe work in collaboration with Art House and the collective to do things. So
Right.
Anything that, I think we all know that the big gap is like, how do we fill the affordable housing money that's been set aside, that 30% that's taken from our budget, that really there's no set plan to use. So I think we all have to be open to different ideas there. We'll see what can develop out of that.
Right.
Is there any update from the team on the properties they were going to review, particularly in Ybor 2, any potential for properties?
So how it works is real estate is actively looking, and they will do an appraisal if they find something. They will even try to, negotiate a contract price. Once they do that, once they get a seller willing to sell, number one. Number two, committing to a price, which, at over $500,000, you have to do 2 appraisals, but tell them you're in a ballpark or whatever. They will bring it to you guys so that you will give they want to know what the.
So they haven't found. That's what you're saying.
They have, and they're looking. There's anything that's on the open market right now, Like the 3-4 lots down on Fifth Avenue, that's open market right now, they're looking at that. That's one I know. Others, I'm not sure. I don't have a report on anything else, but if it's actively being marketed, they'll look at it and see if it would work for us. Now, it's got to be able to meet affordable housing. So it's got to be buildable, obviously, for affordable units. I have a situation in West Tampa where they're going through right now, looking at a piece of property that they've already negotiated to the point, and it's for affordable housing. So, and it doesn't have to be 100% affordable housing. It can be mixed use. It's possible you could have, first floor something, maybe live, work, something there, but it has to be able to meet that goal.
And is there a method where we're also actively engaging in the development community to provide incentives for them to develop and create properties that would have affordable housing percentage?
That's always a goal, but
How do we do that?
Own the land.
So you're saying,
I mean, the land is your leverage.
Nothing where we actually have people who already own commercial property and engaging them, or engaging developers who might buy those commercial properties. That's what I was wondering. Do we not engage with developers who?
I haven't seen the CRA
provide
do
them-
that, but city council does.
City council does.
Like when they create development agreements for large things like gas works, they include
Yeah,
percentage of
Right.
affordable housing
That's what I
in
was-
that development agreement overall.
Seems like that might be the only way that we're gonna get anything
Yes.
developed in
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
commercial light industrial zone. Is to do something like that.
yes. So Gasworks is a good example. There is a development agreement.
So how's our team?
So if we don't own the land and I think what you're asking is if somebody comes in and buys a piece of property in Ybor and decides to develop it, you want to know how we can kind of stick in there and say, can you make it affordable?
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
I don't know the answer. If we have any,
We've got however many
Yeah.
millions of dollars, we can give you a percentage, we can give you some kind of grant or something that's an incentive, a tax.
one of the things we did with Gasworks is we're giving them
Brought that up
back,
too.
we're giving them back basically some of their TIF dollars that they're giving us
In the
Right.
future,
because they're going to develop the property and they're including some affordable, maybe something like that. But my question is, who's monitoring it? Like I'm not watching every property in
Yeah.
Ybor City to see who buys.
no, but we have a special grants process that they could go through, and other CRAs are taking. So if someone wants CRA funding for some portion of their project, they would apply for a special projects grant.
So that's my question but are we going out there and saying, we have got dollars for a
Yeah.
special projects grant? You want to develop in Ybor? You want to do new housing in Ybor? We've got money for you as long as you make part of that affordable housing.
Yeah, and
So
I
if
think
we're doing that,
the general feeling of before, and we talked about this a couple months, that it's not enticing enough to the developers. No one's.
Not enough money or?
It's not. I think there's a couple different feedbacks that we're getting that it doesn't make sense for them. They don't like being tied down for 30 years or whatever the period is, and the numbers just don't work out for them. I don't know how to, I don't know if there's some way that developing, real estate could help.
There's
them.
no guardrails, right? I mean, because we don't have rent protection in the city and stuff. So if there was actually something set up, it would force it to be enticing to them because there'd be some guardrails there, but there is no guardrails. In simple terms, I'm sorry. You know?
Correct. Yeah, with rent, definitely. This is great conversation. I'll have B come back and talk with y'all about this. I mean, they just opened the grants, a month ago. They're working right now with the owner occupy, the down payment assistance, and then the strategic acquisitions is the one I was speaking of. That's where we're actually going out and trying to find property to leverage for affordable housing. But another strategy that you're talking about is actually trying to work out a development agreement with a developer, and that can be done. It has been done. And we can help promote that, in the district, because it is limited. We know that.
I do think it's, I agree with what you're saying, and I think it's bigger than B Parks. I think it's actually a bigger strategy that's looking at another city. I don't know what St. Pete's doing. Oftentimes we look at Orlando, or we just look into an entirely different market. But there's some really exciting projects like Art House that have been talked about, but it seems like people need some help to get over the hump, and other markets are doing it. What can we steal from them? You know, what can we learn from them to try to, because sometimes it's not even, I mean, everyone wants money. Sometimes it's not just money. It could be backing up part of their debt, you know, that somehow is making the deal really, really attractive to them. But we have to look at some other precedences, some other case studies to be able to say, here's what other people are doing. And they got 80 units out of it. We just steal the playbook.
You know,
Right.
to that point, what about art space? Like the art space initiative that they're trying to do? Could we donate?
It's not in the CR.
So that
Well,
doesn't count.
that's the land, yeah, the actual location of that.
But I mean, if they were actually gonna produce that building that is the art space that they would want the artists to live in, would we be able to say, hey, we have a certain amount of money here that we would be willing to budget to help make this a reality for this many artists to be able to live into this space and have rent?
I believe City of Tampa put $500,000 into the budget that got passed. So the City of Tampa, not us, City of Tampa is gonna be putting $500,000 toward the money they needed just to continue with planning.
But
So
to your
that's-
point, if it was in the CRA and they wanted CRA assistance, they would apply, and they would come with an ask and say, hey, yes, I would like to be here. I'm going to do it here. And if they give an ask, then we would entertain it. Absolutely.
That's
Like one street.
They're really, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the rules. It is geographically.
Again, key word you say there is an ask, is we need to be.
Well,
we
it's a
need to be
two-way
putting it
street,
Out there
right?
and not sitting back waiting for people to ask.
I think what she's asking is, are we
Promotion.
marketing this? Are we
Yeah.
promoting it?
So we
maybe the
being-
question
Yeah,
is for
yeah,
marketing
that's a
department.
great
What is
part.
marketing doing? Because we do have a marketing budget. So are we promoting this grant? I'm assuming we are, but I haven't seen it.
That's a good point. So more on that. Okay, I'll get back to y'all about marketing. Marketing as a whole, we won't use the word marketing because in the CRA world, we don't market. We cannot market. We're prohibited from market, but we can communicate.
He's using that term.
I know.
We're
Oh,
not
wait.
putting it out there.
We know
need
that,
to be
but-
putting it out there.
Yeah, so communicating the grant programs, the asks, the available opportunities. Absolutely.
I think it might be beneficial to have the grants team come back and have an updated presentation. It seems like the last time
Well,
they
this-
came out was kind of, this is what we're thinking, this is what we're talking about, but,
It wasn't
and then
approved yet.
wasn't
It hadn't
really.
gone through city legal yet. That was
It had,
Right,
right.
right.
And all this is really new. I mean, we've got it set up now that, you know, at the end of the year, we're going to be able to have metrics where, you know, we've got this wheel we've been working on. So everything we do, and just so y'all know, the state, we have a new law right now that we have to do performance measures by, in a week, we have to submit something to the state, which is really going to be consistent with our reorg and the wheel, but about how we're going to measure. We can't just spend money and not have any measurement, any evaluation of it. So we're set, and we're actually in a very good position, Tampa, because we've reorganized this way, that we're going to be able to do that and provide that. So that's a great point. And I will bring this up too. There's the grants team that does the commercial. There's the housing team that is doing the housing. But higher than that, there is more of a strategy that we can, you know, bring to the table too. And the housing team has just hired 2 new people, so they're staffing up, so they're going to be able to do more. Anyway, that's all.
A quick question on the residences. So what was the reaction? Because we're not allowed to give rental assistance, right?
Mhm.
So how is a residency? I mean, I actually really like the idea of artist.
Yeah, you know,
How's that different?
It could be a bunch of different things. So that nothing's defined yet, but I mean, if there's property adjacent to the art space that could be bought and developed into affordable housing for artists, or something in that area that could be renovated to do that, to fall under the affordable housing dollars, any of that could be applicable to this in support of the arts.
So it was very broad.
Very broad. I mean, there's nothing concrete at this point in time. I mean, we're not the ones going out and develop. I mean, like, we can communicate and market, you know, what there is available, but I think the development community really needs to embrace that. And I think make it known to the artists that we support that. You know, I mean, Art House would be a slam dunk for this if it was in CRA. I mean, it's exactly what we want. It's just that property is not within the district.
So on that note, are we, I don't know if we're talking about this, or maybe I'm confused. So there's the property that Daryl Shaw donated to.
Yes.
Art space.
So that is within CRA.
No, it's not.
On the block off.
One.
It'd be a home run if it was.
Never mind.
But if
Yeah.
there's something else like is within the CRA, we could, be full steam ahead with a number of different programs, grants, affordable housing, all that money just sitting there waiting for to be used. So
And you can buy property with it. You could, that's one easy thing that could be leveraged. Just so you know, I know B just got back from the International Economic Development Conference in Denver. So they're tapping into these, what David's saying, we gotta look beyond our market. What else is going on out there? So they had some, I know she said they had some affordable housing sessions and connections that she made up there. But also we're hosting the FRA here. So there's housing experts that are doing this all throughout Florida that we can also try to learn from and maybe bring some great ideas back to you guys about what we can do. The good thing is, and y'all may not want to hear this, we are so cutting edge that I was talking to a USF class last week and they were asking me, how are y'all effectuating gentrification, questions like that. And I said, so one thing we've done is 30% of our money has been put aside in affordable housing. And they were in shock, like, really? Across all CRAs. I know this sounds crazy, but let me tell you something.
But
Other
it sounds
communities-
great, But it.
I know. But no, the fact that there's been I know, but the fact that there's been a commitment to that.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
gives you, whether you use it or not, but it gives you the ability, you're basically saying you're making a serious commitment to do something about it. So I'll
And
leave you
other-
with that. I know.
And on CRAs, we're probably making more progress than you.
Good stuff.
Some are, yeah, I mean, well, I guess that would be another interesting kind of report so
Metrics.
that y'all can
Yeah.
learn what others are doing. There's a piece of property that West Tampa's about to buy, and it's gonna be probably around 50 units. Yeah. They're doing it. And it's market rate. So, it can be
I
done.
mean, it's always been a discussion that we don't have any land that's really applicable for this, for what Tampa does. And, I think another factor too is the change of leadership up top. There was a clear vision of the leaders that were in charge of this and they've all since moved on. So I think there's some improving. So this isn't moving ahead as fast as everyone would have hoped for.
Well, I wonder even, you say that they have it and we don't, we have a lot of that commercial, industrial, light industrial to heavy industrial in the portion of Ybor 2 over there is, again, are we asking if existing property owners and businesses are interested in selling? You've got an existing business or something, an industrial business that's going, would you like market rate? Move somewhere else. We'd like that piece of property. Are we doing that?
Have to have a willing seller. The city will not go out and
Are
throw
we
on anybody.
asking?
Well, that's back to marketing. I know, asking.
Well,
Well, that's marketing. Well, but that could
What's
be
the
done.
stronger? It's simply asking, and we're not asking. We have no idea whether they might be willing.
There's an issue somewhere. There's a fundamental breakdown of how the program's put together because the developers that we all know in this area that have been very successful aren't touching this, aren't going anywhere near it. And why is that? So something has to.
Them in a room and ask them why.
And I know.
It doesn't pass law.
I know you're here, I know, but there is affordable housing units that are part of that project. I'm not gonna go there, that are being marketed.
And so it doesn't pencil out for them, you say, but have you had conversations with those people? Do they know that we have money to give them
They know.
to do that? And they don't whistle, because they wanted 100% market rate.
In this economy, yes.
Yes.
We're not gonna wish
I know.
other things.
I understand.
So
That's all I have.
you want to talk about the FRA?
Well, I think I
When
mentioned,
is the FRA meeting?
I think they have, I'm sorry?
No, when is the FRA?
So the FRA conference is literally a month away. So it's October 22nd through the 25th.
What is that again?
It's the Florida Redevelopment Association. This is all the CRAs throughout the state of Florida. They're represented usually with this, the Florida FRAs, and they're coming here for their conference. It's going to be in the Tampa Marriott Waterside downtown. We're hosting an Ybor tour, of course. We're doing a streetcar and a walking tour on the early mornings of the 23rd, which is Wednesday. And they will be down. And we have Richard Gonsmart is going to be our keynote speaker. He's, I know it's going to be kind of fun. The mayor will be there. We'll have our CRA board. We have several CRA board members attending, which has never really happened before. So yeah, it should be good. We get to showcase what we do here in Tampa. And, you'll find that you go to conferences and you're always wanting to learn from others. And then they're like, well, what are y'all doing in Tampa? We become like an example. And you're like, wait, I'm here to learn from you. No,
Yeah.
they're here to learn from you. So it's, it's good conversation. But yeah, there's always good exchange of ideas. And again, we're all working under the same rules. So whatever another community's doing, we could maybe apply here and vice versa. So yeah, we're excited about that.
Brenda's the president, so she's going to be involved in all the hoopla. So
It's my final. This is where you hand it over to the next. What's the sweetest position? Stephen?
Transfer of power.
It's called the immediate past president. That sweet position that you. Peaceful change of the It's a good group. It's a very good group.
Any unfinished business that from previous meetings? I think we've hammered that out with our conversations. New business, I think YMA wanted to.
Yeah, we were talking about ways that we could possibly get funding for special events in Ybor. And, we've heard a lot of different things. We didn't have one sort of collection of the relevant information. So maybe we thought you could sort of help us navigate through that. So if we can apply for funding through different agencies, county, city, whatever, if there's sort of one place we can go find that information, or if we can get that from you, or maybe the speaker here from me.
Yeah, and there's a couple people around the table that have applied for the county grant. So that's available. Usually I see those, will send me something, I'll share it with you guys when those windows are open. I don't know if anyone knows around the table when the windows open. So Hillsborough County does the special events grant program. They were actually doing one for a while, and we had ours going on, and then now most of the events have I think YMA has gotten some grants from them before for Phantasma Fest and so forth. I know the market, the Ybor City Saturday Market's applied for stuff for their program. So it's a different process, and I don't know if Lynn's here, but our person who runs this place, we're in a Hillsborough County building. It's online, it's on Hillsborough. If you go to their special event, just type in special events, Hillsborough County. I think it's called Hillsborough County Special Events Partnership Grant. That's it. Special Events Partnership Grant. So there's windows. So they'll open up a 6-month window. If you're having your event from this month to this month, you can apply. They're looking for cultural events, I believe. So it's got to have a cultural, historic element to it. But that's one source that I know of that's available. That most, at least when we, our program sunsetted, most of the events went and sought that money. I think most of them got more money than we were able to really provide, because we had a $10,000 match, our max at the time. So does that help?
Is there any kind of a city program, a city match?
The only thing you have is City of Tampa co-sponsorship. And that's going through the April Cormier. So that's like, and this is the challenge with it, is that there's been sort of a moratorium on it, because they were only honoring older grants and not newer ones. But I think you can still apply through that process. But that would be for fees. That would be like, park fees, like waiving of the park fees, closing a road. Well, maybe police officer, sorry, police. They're still sitting back there going. There are some events that are historical. I'll say they're grandfathered. Those are the big parades. There's been an ordinance, a special ordinance. So Gasparilla will always get funded by the city and the county. St. Patrick's Day that used to be here, that was one of them. We actually get 2 of them. We get the night parade and we get the Outback Bowl, which is now called the Relia Quest. Those are our 2. We used to have 3 parades. Now we've got 2 of the 4 big ones. And I think Martin Luther King parade is, I'm sorry, there's 5. So anyway, those are grandfathered events, and those are just, they don't need to apply because they have a special ordinance. But anything else.
Is that list public?
What's
Like
that?
the list of the co-sponsors, like what's grandfathered in and who, what they,
There's a city
like what
ordinance.
they funded like
Mhm.
last year.
I
and
don't, you
stuff.
know, it's all handled under the special events, office. But yeah, those events, I mean, those are the big parades, let's just say that. The other ones, like the little events, you can still, I know the market, because it's been around 20-something years, they get their park fees waived.
Right.
And I believe we get a little police officer for Zion Avenue, you know, in the morning.
Yeah, I just didn't know if there was a public list for people to look at to see what they funded, what they
As
did,
April
where their
comes
dollars are.
Yeah,
Give us an idea of if we would have success reaching out for certain things based on where they've given their money to in the past.
right. I don't have that answer.
I'll
That
check-
would be
I can check
April
it.
for me, or, yeah. Y'all,
There's also city funding for nonprofits like the Ybor Museum and the Straws and
that's true.
things like that get funding from the city. So if there's nonprofits, that would be in line for that. But this is certainly special event grants, I think, are one of the biggest holes left after this reorg of
Is
this.
there any state money?
I don't know. I don't know. There may be, you know, the cultural resources that changes every year, whether or not there's something there or not. I don't know.
Building
That's funny. So, but, you know, I'll look on my end of see what other programs are out there that could be applicable. There may be some nonprofits that also would fund. I remember like the Bailey Corporation used to do stuff, or some of there used to be partners, was it something like that? They would actually help support certain things. So there may be some nonprofits. Again, unfortunately, our money, we just can't spend it on special events.
What are you trying to get funded?
Well, one of the things we're talking, well, go ahead, Tom.
I mean, just, you know, we did a lot of events before, you know, and when you look at all the different things that happen in the district, whether it's, you know, the changing in the businesses with the different development or, you know, crime, you know, some of these bigger events that are family friendly, you know, like Phantasma Fest when it was larger and it had, you know, the bed races and different things, or the Snow on 7th parade, like when we used to do it. These were signature anchor events in our district that were put on by our community themselves, that were volunteering their own time to make these things happen. I think it was always a positive story for the district. And when all the funding went away, we haven't been able to do any of those things. And now, stop bothering. Now, when you look at where the state of everything is, I think not only was a hole left financially, but the hole was left in the district, because we're incapable of doing the things we should do as a community that draws the right people in, that are going to come back, that do want to go to the lunch crowd or to the dinner. You know, everything now is, the majority of it is who's got the brightest light to say, come over here, spend money at my place. And that's not always marketed in the way we want to see the district market as a whole. You know, I try to do with my business. I know a lot of others do, but a lot of it is, you know, the party atmosphere. Whereas before, the Merchants Association events we did were a family friendly element that was also entertainment. And I think that's a vital piece of what's missing in our district and has been missing in our district since we lost that funding. So we think it's important to try to figure out a way to bring some of these things back, because, you know, not only did we lose out on the things we were doing, but even the St. Patrick's Day moved to Riverwalk. So the less events we have that draw people in, I think, that showcase our district in a positive light, the more problems we're going to have in the tougher battle we have, you know, going uphill or upstream, however you want to look at it, because it's difficult.
What was the average contribution for some of the events, like in terms of what moved the needle? What was the dollar amount on like one of the events?
I mean,
You
I
guys
think
got,
that Snow on 7th parade, what was it, like $85,000 just to do that parade? 60, you know, just to get it off the ground. And that was with all the people that were doing the work, doing it for free, which I will always do that, you know, and there's always going to be people that will do that, but we need the startup. So the startup, you know, either needs to come from different grants or people that are willing to, you know, sponsor it to understand like, hey, this is a valuable thing that puts the district in a bright light. So with the other different things I'm funding, I'm going to put $60,000 into it so it can be recreated and be done again. But I do think that, finding that money, whether it be through grants or other corporations or developers or whoever it is, being willing to fund it would go a long way to the things we're trying to accomplish here in our historic district of Ybor City.
Yeah, I think right now the best bet is going for the county money. Well, it's one of those things that you go for and then you keep going for it. So you become sort of, kind of grandfathered, I don't say grandfathered with them, but they see that, that they see how you're doing. And I think I think y'all have done that. Have you not? Michael, weren't you involved? Or the YMA, did they ever apply for the county money?
Yeah. And I know that.
Yeah, a number of times. And I think you did it under the whole Phantasm Fest, so you could do multiple events.
Yes.
So if y'all haven't applied for that, I definitely would apply for it. And I'll see what that window is. I can look it up for you too after the meeting. Okay. And I'll look for state money. I'm actually going to be on a panel, believe it or not, for the FRA that it's talk about where's the money and something like that. So I'm with some other folks around the state and I'll find out more
I think the
resources.
problem with some of those grants too, though, and Michael, you can correct me, but I think some of them were like reimbursement grants, right? Where we would need to have a certain amount of the money up front. And right now, because the other money went away, we're cash starved ourselves. So trying to do something like this where all the costs are going to be up front and somebody says, hey, it's cool because we're going to give the money back to you. Well, it doesn't help when we don't have the startup capital. We need the startup capital in order to even apply for the grants. So.
Yeah, and then you can get cost on events from April. I know that if you do like a block party, it's a lot cheaper than doing like 2 blocks. See, it has to do with the driving up of the police and all the MOTs. But I know a lot of events, I always used to tell events, start small, start with a nucleus, start one place and then expand. So maybe a cost for like a block party or block, is more doable.
One snow machine. One snow machine, not 40.
One snow machine.
Block bed race.
Yeah, and by the way, like the snow on 7th is still gonna happen, which is, I think, a snow, when you said that, it's snow on 7th. I'm not snow on 7th, I'm sorry, the tree lighting, where they had snow coming out of the tree. I don't know if Lee's doing that this year with snow coming out of the tree. Yeah, here he goes.
Yeah, we just approved that, so, yeah,
Did you?
just got my budget, so we're doing all new trees, all new everything, et cetera, so.
Oh,
I think we just dropped, about $80,000 revamping the whole lights and everything for Christmas.
Cool.
Thank you. That's really nice. And that's November 20th, I believe that. Yeah. So that's happening. And the good thing about it, it doesn't interfere with the bricking project because it's completed. So it'll be easy. So anyway, there are some things that can be, that's not real expensive to do in terms of, is it going up? I don't know. Okay. Sorry. I wish I could control those costs for you guys, but I can't.
Okay, I think we're covered on new business announcements, anyone? Covered there. We'll wrap this up. Next CRA board meeting is October 10th. I don't think you'll be there. I don't need to be there. And the next CIC will be October 29th. The FRA conference is October 23rd and 25th. So that'll happen before our next, and Brent will provide us with an update at the next CIC.
I'll give y'all any kind of information from that conference that could be useful to us here.
But good conversations today, everyone.
Yeah,
So
thank
thanks for the feedback, and as always, we're looking for new ideas and figuring out how to navigate this.
Yeah. And if you need sandbags,
Yeah.
they're Al Lopez Farm. No, that not Al Lopez, Ybor.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all. We're adjourned.
Thank you. I have a.
Yeah,